Hello, my name is Marian Petrov and welcome to all the viewers to this Rules Chess Strategies channel. I want to show you a few examples on the attacking games, and the first one which I have chosen is one of the games of the first world champion Wilhelm Steinitz, and this was long before he acquired his title. And the game was against a very strong player as well from that age, Louis Paulsen. Maybe some of you know about the Paulsen Sicilian. And let's see what happened. The game was in the favorite line of the first world champion. He used to play a lot of Vienna. You know, people started to play Vienna as a way to improve the king's gambit in order to avoid the d5 counter gambit Faulkbear, which was considered to be very annoying for people who play King's Gambit. So now, one of the main ideas is to prepare f4 and to defend the center, and this is what Steinitz used to do. Of course, now it could go to some deviation of the King's Gambit. Black can also, by the way, decline it, but the difference here with the declined King's Gambit is that the knight on c3 is defending the pawn on e4. So if you play bishop c5 like it's possible in the other way, after pawn takes e5, queen h4 is not winning. And after pawn takes e5, if knight takes, of course, d4. So now, more or less, black has to accept. And here, of course, most people used to play knight f3. And then this is transpositioning to some of the lines in King's Gambit. But Steinitz thought, okay, why should be afraid of this check of h4, it's nothing special for him. So he plays d4, intending immediately to take the pawn on f4 with his bishop. Now g5 is still possible, but already it's a bit different from the King's Gambit, because normally g5 was threatening g4 to attack the knight, but since the knight is not on f3, maybe white can find another way to develop. So again, more or less, black has to give this check. There is nothing wrong with it. And now it looks very awkward. The king is the most active piece in front of his all pieces. But Steinitz has played this position many times. He was known that he is also a very stubborn guy, and when he believed in something, he was defending his principles without any fear. And there has been many games, of course, which he lost, many games which he won, but in general this is a very interesting line. Black has many options, including there are some ideas to immediately start to attack the white king and trying to checkmate him with d5 or with b6. But Paulsen decided to play it more simple and more safe, just d6, preparing bishop g4 check, and maybe even castle queenside. Now white goes knight f3, and if the queen moves somewhere back to h5, white will just take the pawn. Also, there is additional idea in this moment for white that sometimes he can jump knight d5, and it will be attacking the pawn on c7. So black cannot waste time, because maybe if you just move the queen, I will go knight d5, and then how do you defend c7? So he has to go here. And now, a bit surprising move, maybe for some of you, white takes on f4. Again, I think Steinitz has played this position many times, and so he knew what was he doing. And he's not afraid of bishop f3, because simply he takes with the king on f3, and it looks extremely risky, but actually there is not much danger for the white king.
The big day is here because this new course with 42 attacking principles is ready, it's out there. I put my best foot forward in order to collect all the attacking principles, and with Grandmaster Marian Petrov we created this amazing chess course, and you can follow the link below of this video in order to read the description. Now please let me show you how the course is inside. If you enroll to this course, you can see it here, and after that you can start learning one lesson after the other. And if you click here on PGN file and exercises, and there in this green button, then you can see the PDF document. We have 5 of them, each one has 10 exercises, and then you have the positions. You can set up this position in your real board and try to figure out what is going on, and later you can scroll down and see the solutions there. If you like the course, you are very welcome to promote this one to your friends by our affiliate program. We have 50% commissions for you. So time is action is now.
Black is castling, which looks also pretty nice, and now you can say white is in danger. Maybe rook e8 is coming, f5, knight f6. There are plenty of ideas for black to start to attack the king by destroying the nice center which white has got. And here again the next move is really amazing to me. You could have expected that white will just maybe try to hide his king or to defend his center. In a way he's doing this, but with the move king e3. What is the idea of this move? Of course, to get out of the pin. So now black is forced either to take on f3, either to move his queen. If he takes on f3, probably white can take with the queen, and then it looks like, yeah, it should be okay for white. He has a good development, g3, maybe bishop b5, there are plenty of ideas. It's okay. So Paulsen decided to keep the pin against the queen, so he just moves his queen away to h5. And now black starts to experience some problems what to do with this queen, because now after this simple move bishop e2, white wants to play h3, and then if bishop takes, the queen has to move again, but there are not so many great squares. And here black should have played knight f6, and after h3 there was a very interesting idea g5 to complicate the game, and white still, by the way, got a slight edge even in this line. But Paulsen had a very actually interesting idea. He is playing now queen a5, which looks a bit strange, you can say, but it has a very annoying idea for white. The idea is to take on f3 and to play g5 and bishop g7. So that's why he needs to move the queen out of the way, because if she's on h5, after bishop f3, she's hanging. So now black wants to take on g5. What is white doing? He is playing a3, again intending to harass this queen and to ask us some questions. Where do you go? b4, queen b6, knight d5, for example, trapping the queen. So black is following his plan, and now he is expecting bishop takes f3, and then actually after g5, bishop g3, for example, bishop g7, black has advantage, because the problem for white is that in order to defend this pawn, okay, knight e2 is a bit passive, maybe f5 is coming, and then the king is a bit exposed, d5 is giving some great outposts for the knight, also queen b6 check is coming, so black was hoping for this. But after bishop f3, Steinitz has made a very nice move again with his favorite piece, the king. He takes with the king, which is the best move. Why this is the best move? Because now after g5 this counterplay is not working. First of all, this is not threatening a check, so maybe even white has time to organize some b4, but even if he goes to e3 just to protect the pawn, and then already the queen is a bit blocked from the pawn, so b4 is a very strong threat. So now black has to again adjust his plans, as b4 is incoming anyway. So what to do, he is wondering, and then again he moves the queen back to h5, because simply there were not so many options for the queen. So king e3, and the queen has to go to h4, and now in case of g3, probably she will go back to e7 and then escape. But of course it took a long time for this queen. She has made so many moves. So right now should start to finally settle his position a little bit. So I think here the best was g3 and bishop f3 and king f2, and just to try to move the king back. But Steinitz, okay, he feels confident and he doesn't want to waste time to move his king back, so he goes for b4, which is of course very natural way to attack when your opponent has castled queenside. One of the main plans to attack his position is to push the pawns and try to open some files. So white is planning maybe b5, a4, a5, and then b6 or a6, something like this. But here already black should have thought how to expose the position of the white king, and the best move was f5, by the way. And then if pawn takes, then rook e8 check is coming, so if not, then knight f6, and then to try to put some pressure on the e4 pawn and to try to open the e-file. But instead he goes for completely wrong idea, which was, like I mentioned, this idea was good few moves ago with g5, and he still goes for g5. But the problem is now that after bishop g3, the queen has to go to h6. And basically, black doesn't have any threat. g4 check, okay, it's nothing special, just the king can go back, or even bishop f4. And this gives white time to already to stabilize his position of the king. So first white is removing this knight, so he has to go back, and you can see now what is the difference in the activity of the pieces, despite the fact that of course the king is on e3, but if you look at the position of the black pieces, they are really not developed, most of them. The queen on h6 is hardly doing something, they don't have any coordination, maybe, okay, the only plan is f5, if it's possible, of course, then it could be okay for black. So white now has to find a way how to stop this f5 and how to protect his king. And the plan is very simple, by the way, rook f1, preventing f5. And now, okay, black, what to do? He has to develop. So finally he moves his knight on the move 16. It's a bit late, but okay, still black has normal development, you can say. The only difference is that white is controlling the center. And this is actually one of the main ideas of this line. That's why Steinitz is moving his king, because he thinks that if he managed to take the pawn back and to keep this nice center, he should have advantage. Now, what to do? Already, of course, if white keeps his king in the center, black will just go bishop g7, rook h e8, and then knight d5 is coming, or it could be dangerous. So it's about time for the king to just go back and relax, sit, enjoy, and watch the game, how his pieces are dealing later. So king f2, and now knight g6. There was also an idea, by the way, to complicate the game with knight e4, knight e4, f5, and then f4. Probably this was better, because now the way black plays after this move king g1, it's, you can say, some kind of version of the return of the king. He returns to the safety, and now white simply has a big advantage, because he has a nice center, he has two bishops, he has the f-file, he has the queenside attack now, and his king is safe, so all the ingredients to the victory are there. And okay, the problem now for black is that he has to defend his knight, and he has to create some kind of threat, but the only plan which he is hoping to attack is to bring the h-pawn, to play h5, h4, and g4, and g3, and something like this. So he has to make way for the h5. So now how do you stop h5? Bishop h5, of course, is possible, but it doesn't look normal move, bishop h5. So instead, Steinitz says, okay, I'll just move my queen to d2, attacking the pawn on g5. So now what do you do? If you play g4, then maybe even queen g5 for doubling rooks on the f file. And black didn't like g4, and he played h6, but now his whole counterplays has been stopped. So he basically doesn't have a plan. So after making this little prophylactic, you can say, white is now starting his attack on the queen side, and there is nothing black can do to stop the attack, because all his pieces are on the king side. And white has a clear plan, just like we mentioned earlier, a5 and then b6, and then he also has those central pawns, so sometimes he can use them to push them forward. The f file is there. If you want, you can just double on the f file. So plenty of ideas. And the problem for black is that he don't have any active counterplay. So what to do for black? He is playing this mysterious move, intending maybe some knight f4, and if white takes, g takes f4, and then maybe some pressure on the g file. And here most of the players would just automatically play a5, which is a good enough move. But Steinitz has played the move b6, and I think this move is maybe the first which I have seen in those positions. And then if you project it on the king side, maybe today the players know about those ideas in Sicilian. When you push, for example, in the English attack, when you have g5 and h4, often you play h5 and g6. But you can see many games starting from the maybe 80s, 90s, when this line was popular, when they play first g6, and when black takes on g6, h5, in order to open some files and not to kind of waste time for a5 or h5. And I think this idea comes from maybe this game from Steinitz. At least this is the first which I have seen in 1870. Because now black has to pay attention to this pawn, so he takes. And of course now a5 is the main move, and I think maybe the best. But already Steinitz could see that he has a great attack, and he wanted to finish this game in style. Remember that 1870, this is the age of the romantic chess, where people not only wanted to win, but they wanted to win with sacrifices in style, playing a beautiful game. So how can we create a beautiful game? Maybe a5 is just too simple way to win it. And Steinitz wants to checkmate, of course, the king. So maybe he thinks, okay, if I go a5, later the king can escape or try to escape on d7 in the center. So how do I stop him from going to d7? He takes this knight. Then he gives this check, so the king has to go towards the a file. And now he inserted this move. And finally, after all this preparation work, let's say, sacrificing the exchange and improving the bishop and the knight, he goes for a5. And now the threat is very simple, take on b6, and then bringing the queen to the a file, and checkmate. And black can hardly do anything, because his pieces are a bit too far away from the queen side. So the rest of the game was f5. There are many ways to win here. Of course, white can just take on f5. He took on b6. So black has to take, and now he took on b6. And now if black takes the bishop, it will be queen c3, closing the escape route from the king, and then there is rook a8 is incoming. So black is trying to bring his knight to help the king. Here queen b4 was making few moves, and eventually again he's opening the bishop. c4, he preferred to play it more solid this time. There are so many ways to win this, of course. I'm a bit surprised that Paulsen played until the end, because he gave the queen and he didn't resign, and in the end the game has finished with a checkmate. So this was a very nice game, and you can see, maybe you can feel some inspiration from the way Steinitz used to play, with the king forward getting control in the center, and then starting his attack. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and good luck.
Thanks for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Here it's time for action. This is the initial page of my website, and here you can click Give me access to get access to free lessons. You can read this page, and if you scroll down, here you can add your name and your email. After that, you're going to take a free lesson how to avoid chess blunders. So, time for action is now, and you're very welcome to join my mail list.